Chosen one, you are seeing this for a reason. You have been called by God for a higher purpose, and now it is time to finally manifest your abundance. Have you felt as though you've been wandering in a desert with no clear destination in sight? Like you're wading through the deepest nights, waiting for dawn to rescue you from the darkness? If your recent journey has been marked by bouts of loneliness and uncertainty, you're not alone in that feeling. Many who carry a divine purpose have walked a similarly desolate road, uncertain of where it might lead. But here's the astounding news: your alone season is over. God has declared that your breakthrough is near. When God speaks, transformations happen at breakneck speed. The tides that once threatened to drown you can recede in an instant. Doors that appeared bolted shut might suddenly swing wide. That is the essence of a divine breakthrough. One moment you're in a holding pattern, and the next, you're catapulted into a reality you scarcely recognize. So if your spirit is weary from waiting, take a moment to exhale. Something extraordinary is stirring beneath the surface of your solitary season, and it's poised to deliver you into a new chapter of your life. This message isn't just a comforting platitude. It's a clarion call for those chosen by God to carry out purposes unseen by the masses. For too long, you may have felt misunderstood, sidelined, or even discarded as you watched others seemingly thrive in their relationships, careers, and personal pursuits. Meanwhile, your path felt narrow, your burdens heavy. Yet all of that, every tear, every lonely moment, has been a setup for the miracle about to unfold in your life. God has a habit of pulling people into solitude just before releasing them into a season of triumph, abundance, and influence. So today, open your heart to a profound truth. The time of hiddenness is concluding. Your alone season is over, and God's breakthrough is imminent. Chosen one, it can feel like the wilderness has no rhyme or reason when you're in the thick of it. Perhaps you've questioned God or questioned yourself, wondering why you've endured so much isolation. After all, you look around and see people forming connections, building communities, and enjoying robust support systems. Why have you been set apart? The short answer is that God often isolates those he's preparing for a mighty purpose. This isn't merely a cliché. It's a consistent pattern that appears in numerous spiritual traditions. Take biblical examples. Moses spent decades in the Midian desert before returning to lead his people. David tended sheep in obscurity before he was anointed king. Even Jesus withdrew into the wilderness before launching his public ministry. Each of these figures experienced a period of solitude not because they were unworthy, but because their destiny required an inner fortification that couldn't be forged amid distractions. Likewise, your isolation served a purpose far greater than you might initially recognize. While you wrestled with silence, God was refining your character, strengthening your faith, and unveiling hidden layers of resilience. You may have felt forgotten, but in reality, you were enrolled in a divine training program, one that fosters wisdom, humility, and compassion in ways no textbook or conference could ever replicate. God needed to separate you from certain influences, so you'd learn to lean on Him rather than external validation. Though this pruning process may have stung, it's paved the way for an even bigger promise, the season of breakthrough that is now poised to arrive. So if you're still questioning the value of these lonely years, consider this. Your soul has been cultivated for a level of impact and abundance that requires deep-rooted integrity. The storms you survived in solitude hardened your resolve and sharpened your spiritual senses. God was not punishing you. He was molding you into someone capable of stewarding the breakthroughs that will soon flood your life. As you stand on the cusp of your new season, allow the lessons of isolation to shape your gratitude and determination. For every ounce of growth you gained will become invaluable as you step into the role God has destined for you. Chosen one, how can you be sure that your time of loneliness is drawing to a close and that a breakthrough is near? After all, when you've been in the wilderness for months or even years, it's easy to become jaded, suspecting every glimmer of hope might be a false dawn. Yet in many spiritual narratives, there are subtle signs that point to the end of a desert season. Recognizing these signs can reignite your hope and remind you that God is neither early nor late. His timing is exact. Renewed inner urgency. Have you recently felt a renewed sense of expectation brewing in your spirit? An inexplicable stirring as though something monumental is about to happen, even though the physical evidence hasn't changed much? That's often God's gentle nudge, indicating that your waiting period is almost over. This internal shift can manifest as an unshakable confidence or a growing excitement each morning, compelling you to believe that your life is about to shift dramatically. Unlikely connections or opportunities. Another clue might be the sudden appearance of an unexpected opportunity or connection. Someone contacting you out of the blue with an idea, a job offer, or a collaboration that directly aligns with what you've been quietly cultivating. Often, God orchestrates divine appointments as a precursor to a breakthrough. These alignments can seem random, but they carry the hallmark of perfect timing and uncanny synchronicity. Past lessons come full circle. Perhaps you're noticing how past struggles suddenly make sense in ways they never did before. The issues that once caused you so much pain are now equipping you to serve, lead, or inspire others. This is a powerful sign that the wilderness has done its work, preparing you to step into your next chapter with a testimony that can transform not only your life, but also the lives of those who encounter your story. Increased opposition. Surprisingly, an escalation of challenges can also be a sign of an ending to your isolation. Right before a breakthrough, resistance often intensifies, as though all energies opposed to your destiny sense that you're on the verge of something big. Instead of letting these obstacles discourage you, interpret them as confirmation that you're near the finish line, and the finish line is just the start of your new beginning. If you've observed any or all of these signs, take heart, chosen one. The most life-altering moments can arrive in the midst of confusion, but God's hand remains steady, guiding you where you need to be. The same God who allowed your time in the wilderness is now guiding you out of it. Trust that He hasn't brought you this far only to abandon you. Instead, He's orchestrating a transition so pivotal that you'll look back on your lonely season as a sacred foundation for the greatness ahead. Chosen one of the hardest things about a desert season is reconciling your internal clock with God's. We want everything to happen now, or at least soon enough to spare us further discomfort. Yet God's sense of timing can seem downright mysterious. Why prolong pain or delay relief? The answer often lies in a bigger picture we can't fully grasp in the moment. Imagine a master weaver creating a tapestry. Each thread is placed meticulously, and the design only emerges when the weaver has finished. If you only look at one tiny section, it seems random or even messy. But step back, and the beauty is revealed. Your life is part of a larger tapestry, one that weaves together relationships, events, and callings in patterns you can't yet fully see. If you were thrust into your breakthrough too soon, certain essential threads wouldn't be in place. The resources, connections, or growth you need might still be developing behind the scenes. God's sense of timing also ensures you won't sabotage the blessings meant for you. Think back to moments when you desperately wanted something, a relationship, an opportunity, a specific outcome, only to realize later that you weren't truly ready. While it stung to be denied at the time, you now understand that a partial victory or premature success wouldn't have endured. Remember that these delays are not denials but grace in disguise, keeping you aligned with the fullness of God's plan. Moreover, patience cultivated in a season of isolation might be the very thing that preserves your breakthrough once it arrives. Impatience can ruin new beginnings. Chosen one, you are about to step into a role that demands wisdom, calm, and a steady hand. The wilderness has taught you how to rely on God's timing rather than your own, forging the necessary composure to handle whatever blessings and responsibilities await. When you finally see the tapestry unfold, you'll understand why each moment of waiting had meaning. So take heart, for God's delays are never arbitrary. Each second is orchestrated for your ultimate good. When you sense the breakthrough approaching, you might wonder what form it will take. After all, loneliness is a heavy cloak, and you're desperate to shrug it off. Often, God signals the end of a desert season by introducing communities, alliances, or friendships that align with your divine calling. Where you once felt like you were speaking a language no one understood, you suddenly find people who not only comprehend your perspective but actively encourage it. However, stepping into community can be both exhilarating and daunting. You've grown accustomed to a solitary routine, making your own decisions without external input, guarding your heart because you're used to being misunderstood. Transitioning to a more connected life requires vulnerability. You may need to share your story, trust others with your dreams, and allow them to speak into your journey. For a soul that has walked alone for so long, this newfound closeness can feel risky. Yet remember that relationships are a potent mechanism God uses to bless, guide, and refine us. In biblical narratives, breakthroughs are often accompanied by key relationships. Think of David's friendship with Jonathan or Moses' partnership with Aaron. These people were critical in fulfilling divine mandates. If you sense God nudging you to open up to new relationships, take a leap of faith. Understand that part of your breakthrough might hinge on joining forces with those God has specifically placed in your path. Still, be discerning. Not every outstretched hand is part of God's plan for you. The enemy can sow distractions, even in what appears to be good company. Listen carefully to the still, small voice within. If a person or group resonates with your spirit and draws you closer to God, they might be part of the next chapter. If, on the other hand, they cultivate confusion or compromise, they could be a detour. Trust that God will guide you to the right connections at the right time, just as He guided you through your wilderness. Chosen one, your alone season has softened your heart in ways prosperity never could. When you were stripped of comforts and accolades, you learned to cling to God. Now, as your breakthrough approaches, you may find blessings pouring out in multiple areas of your life: career, relationships, finances, spiritual gifts, or even physical well-being. It can feel surreal, almost too good to be true. How do you handle such an outpouring without losing yourself? Stay grounded in gratitude. Nothing safeguards a new season of abundance like heartfelt gratitude. Make it a habit to express thanks not just for the blessings themselves, but for the journey that led to them. Remember how uncertain you felt in the desert, how you questioned whether you'd ever see the light of day again. Now that dawn is here, let your gratitude be a beacon that honors the one who brought you through. Practice steadfast humility. It's tempting to bask in the spotlight once you finally move from isolation into abundance. But remember, God is the source of your elevation. Everything you've received is a product of grace, not your own striving. Embrace humility, acknowledging that you are merely a vessel entrusted with gifts that can bless others. Use your influence wisely. With abundance often comes influence. Whether it's greater financial resources, a bigger platform, or more spiritual authority, your breakthrough confers new responsibilities. This influence isn't meant for self-serving ends. It's given so you can uplift those still languishing in their own deserts. As you rise, look around for ways to extend a helping hand, a kind word, or tangible support. Guard against distractions. As you flourish, you might attract people and opportunities that seem golden on the surface but lack genuine substance. The fastest way to derail a blessing is to entangle yourself with distractions disguised as opportunities. Discernment remains crucial. Keep prayer at the forefront, asking God to illuminate your path and close any doors that lead away from your calling. As you navigate this influx of favor, remember that you're stepping into the next chapter of your divine assignment. This is not the finish line. It's the beginning of a new mission. All the grit you gained during your lonely season will serve you well as you carry out God's purpose. Stand firm in the knowledge that you're blessed to be a blessing, and watch as your life becomes a testament to God's faithfulness in times of both sorrow and celebration. Chosen one, once the breakthrough settles into your daily reality, you might find yourself reflecting on how far you've come. The moments you labeled as disasters or detours may suddenly appear as pieces of a grand design. Painful experiences that scarred your soul can emerge as your most potent testimonies, enabling you to comfort and guide others in similar trials. Where you once saw barren desert, you'll now perceive a training ground where faith was tested and refined. Look back on your solitary season with a heart free from bitterness. Yes, it was tough, painful, confusing, and, at times, unfair. But it forged your resilience, your dependence on God, and your empathy for those who feel forgotten. It revealed your blind spots, forcing you to address them head-on, and it deepened your gratitude, reminding you to never take blessings lightly. If nothing else, it taught you the weight of God's silence and the sheer power of His subsequent deliverance. This retrospective clarity can become the bedrock of your future. You'll have living proof that God's silence doesn't equate to His absence, and that He can turn even the darkest chapters into preludes for miraculous transformations. By acknowledging how each tear shaped you, you can walk into your destiny with unshakable faith. Others will see your life as evidence that God redeems our pain and uses our loneliness to orchestrate unimaginable breakthroughs. Your story then becomes a guiding light, assuring those still in the desert that their alone season, too, will eventually yield the fruit of a blessed new dawn. Chosen one, your days of wondering when or if the desert season will end are concluding. God has spoken. Your alone season is over, and your breakthrough is near. That doesn't mean you'll never face hardships again, nor does it mean your journey will suddenly become effortless. But it does mean you're stepping into a different realm of possibility, a space where God's favor manifests in ways you've longed for but couldn't produce on your own. Perhaps you've grown comfortable with your solitude, unsure if you're ready to embrace change. Yet remember, the wilderness was never your permanent dwelling place. It was a season, not a life sentence. Now is the time to gather the faith you've nurtured in secret and walk boldly through doors that are swinging wide open. Yes, you might feel a twinge of apprehension, wondering if you'll recognize yourself in the new opportunities that beckon. But rest assured, this transformation is precisely what you've been prepared for. So say goodbye to the desert, not in resentment, but in gratitude. The silence that once unnerved you was a doorway to inner revelations. The rejections that broke your heart became catalysts for unshakable resolve. And the loneliness that tested your faith taught you to rely on God when no one else was around to applaud your steps. Now you stand on the precipice of a new chapter, one filled with blessings, relationships, and divine directives you once only dreamed about. Chosen one, hold your head high. The God who walked with you through every barren moment is now clearing the path for a season of plentiful harvest. Step into your breakthrough with courage, humility, and expectancy, knowing that the same divine hand who guided you through your season of isolation will sustain you in this next, remarkable phase of your life. Your alone season is finished. God proclaims your breakthrough is near. Receive it with a heart wide open, for it is already unfolding before your very eyes.